All right, we're Man to Man Podcast. I'm here with Mike. I'm Dennis, and we're just having guy conversations and wanting to invite people to start community with the guys around them and to have real conversations, right? Next level. We want to get to level 3 conversations with people, right? Where it's not just talking about the weather or not just talking about how everybody's doing, but really having good, deep conversation about real life things that are happening.
Issues of the heart, yeah.
Yep. So we want to model some of that. And also, this is it's like a therapy session for me every time. So
it is me too.
So
it really is. I mean, I think there's something about that that's not, once again, we're not here to discover all the answers or give anybody all the answers, but we are here to have a conversation that leads us into things that help us in our daily life. And each time me and you get done with one of these things, I'm always walking out of it going crap or something that following week. After we do it, something that following week, like we just said a little bit earlier, here I am using some of the things that me and you discover through our conversations to help another guy. I mean, that's what it's about. So,
and how many times, Tuesday in our class, it was like, well, we talked about this in the podcast. Yeah. And funny enough, yesterday in the Bible study that I was at, same thing. I was like, well, we just, we did a podcast about this, and the guy that was with us was like, yeah, I stopped listening to those. I should go back. I said, yeah, because you missed exactly this conversation we were talking about. So it's neat how that stuff comes up and how it's just normal everyday conversations. So,
and I am kind of excited. Hopefully I always forget whether I can say it or not because we never know when these are going to come out, but the dating one's done.
Yeah, so I'll be releasing that. I'm not sure when either, but I don't know if it'll be before or after this one, but either it's coming soon or it's already out. Go look for it, right? Yeah. So a dating audio podcast. So that will be on the audio. You can find it on our website, mantoman.org. There's a podcast button that's got all of the links to all the audio stuff, or your regular podcast apps, Apple, all the iTunes, all that stuff that's out there. So people can go find it.
Took me a while, but I finally did.
Yeah,
you see it when I said you need to hold me accountable. That's when it happened. So that's what I got to do more often.
So so we have that coming out. Basic is coming up, right? August 24th through the 27th. We're really ramping up towards that. Super excited. People are starting to sign up, which is good because guys always wait till the last minute. So stop waiting till the last minute. If you're out there and you're listening, just go sign up. It makes our life easier. We know how many guys to prepare for. Sign up, get going for basic. We have 2 options now this time. We have the regular bunkhouse, which is kind of 8 guys or so, 6 to 8 guys in a cabin, regular bunks. Then we have lodge house tickets available still. There's still some of those available where it's a little bit bigger room, less guys, 3 or so, 2 or 3 to a room.
And it's the basic difference of the log cabin, the log house, and the bunk houses are mattresses.
Yeah, nice bigger mattresses.
I mean, that's really basically the difference because everything has a bathroom, has its own bathroom and shower and stuff like this. But realistically, the log house has a little bit more comfortable sleeping beds. I mean, that's really what it pertains to. So if you have a bad back or something like that, you're probably going to want to go to the log house. If you want to just have a mattress and you're used to sleeping on the floor, then go to the bunkhouse.
If you want to tie up a hammock and sleep outside, there's trees everywhere. Yeah, you can bring a tent if you want to. I mean,
and with this place, since it's in August, if you have a boat, you can bring a boat.
Can they launch a boat there though?
I don't know where the launch would be. Yeah, I know there's a road that goes down to it, but I'm sure we can find a place that you can launch on Lake 36. But maybe we can't. Maybe I shouldn't tell you to bring.
Actually, I don't know if you. Well. Maybe just reach out to us if you want to bring a boat. We'll figure it out.
We'll find
canoes. You can kayaks.
Well, they have canoes there. They got.
If you want to bring, Matt the one time brought his kayaks up and paddle boards, all that stuff. You want to bring all that. The lake is beautiful,
and they got those though. They got paddle boards. They got that kind of thing. But if you want to go fishing, you can get like a 3-day fishing license for Wisconsin. It's pretty cheap and.
I think it's $20 or something. It's pretty cheap.
So there's plenty of things to do there. There's a volleyball court there, so you can play volleyball. So instead of being at our January one where it's 20 below zero, it should be good.
I was making that promo video and I was using the footage from January because that was the last time we were at this camp. And the snow
is so deep.
Oh my gosh. Hanging off the side of the building. I remember it, but then seeing it in the video, I was like, holy crap. Yeah. There's a foot of ice hanging off the side of this building. It's crazy.
And what's so cool about that is every night we had a fire and guys were around the fire.
outside?
Every time they were around the fire. So
playing boot hockey. I mean,
playing boot hockey. We had to play boot hockey in the parking lot because we couldn't go on the lake. But we still had some brutal boot hockey. Yeah.
I mean, guys will find something to do. So that's for sure. I thought I might bring my bow up and my target and shoot my bow, right? I mean, that'd be kind of something that I could do in some spare time. We'll have bags to throw and all that stuff. So we have plenty of stuff to do. It's a good time. Guys should go. If they've never been to a basic, like, how do you know if you should go to a basic? One, if you've never been to one, you should be going. Just 100%. Every guy. Yeah. If you ask yourself the question, have I been to a basic, and the answer is no, then you should go to one. If the answer is yes, but I have friends that haven't, then you should grab your friends and you should all go to one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the answer as to who should go.
And thirdly, if you ever ask that question, do I have what it takes? You should go.
For sure. Yep. The only reason why you shouldn't go is if you're a woman, because then you have to go to captain. So that's which we don't do.
That's good.
That's really the only reason why you wouldn't go. So, I think it's going to be a good time.
I had so many things I was going to say to that.
I know you did.
I keep getting this chance. No, don't say that. Yeah. No, don't say that.
So, we're going to rip the Band-Aid off. I think today is the idea. So, I think I just will, right? I mean, you're moving.
I'm moving.
We're here in the Man-to-Man Cave, which has been your Man-to-Man Cave for 6 years? 20?
No, it's been a Man-to-Man Cave for about 8 months. But
your house.
But the house has been here for 28 years.
28 years. So you've lived here for 28 years, and I'm going to try not to make you cry. Well, I don't care if you cry. It's up to you. But you have to fight that off. But you've been here 28 years. I remember when you weren't here. Like, that's how long I've known you, is that I remember this house when Roger Broom was here.
Yeah.
I used to lose bets, which I still think was probably illegal and definitely not a good idea, because a youth pastor should not be making bets with his youth. Like, it was wrong in so many ways.
And Roger was my mentor.
Just kidding. It was never anything bad. But Roger would bet every year in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
It was when the Chicago Bulls it was the first year that Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan were in the NBA Finals. And Roger Broom bet Will and I that the Bulls would win, and we were like, no, it's first year they're in the finals. This, Michael Jordan's this young kid. The Bulls weren't the Bulls at that time, and Michael Jordan wasn't the Michael Jordan that we know of now at that time. And so we were like, no, they're not going to win. And so he bet us that we would, if the Bulls lost, he would take us to the best steak dinner that we've ever been to in our life. And knowing Roger,
he did it.
We knew that would have been we're not going to Outback, right? Like, no. He would have taken us.
It would have been a Manny's. It would have been,
it would have been for two 16-year-old kids, we were like, I'll take that bet no matter what the downside is, right? Downside was we had to trim the bushes, those lilac bushes that you used to have in the backyard. We had to trim those in the spring if we lost, which we did 3 years in a row.
Because the Bulls won.
The Bulls went on this run, and after the first year, we were like, they're good, but it's really hard to win 2 in a row.
Right.
So then we were playing the odds. And then after year 2, we were like, no way they win 3 in a row. Like, nobody wins 3 in a row. And we lost 3. It was silly. And then we were like, no, we're not betting against the Bulls ever again. Yeah. So we stopped losing. But that was when Roger lived here, and that was how long ago it was.
You were 16, weren't you, at that time?
I was, 15. It had to have been somewhere back in there.
And you're 52 now or something?
Somewhere in there, yeah. So, so it was a long time ago. And then I remember when you moved into here and, and all that stuff, and I didn't bet anything because I would learn my lesson by that time.
Right.
But
I bet you guys stuff, but you would. Thanks, Roger.
Roger ruined it for you. So you've lived here for a long time, and you're not just moving out of this house. No. You're moving out of the state.
Yes.
Which, again, there's a Vikings thing on the wall right there. I don't know if people can see it in the video. Yeah, they can see it in the video. I mean, you're a Minnesota dude. You're a Minnesota guy. Like, you are tried and true Minnesota guy.
Yeah.
And you're moving out of state for the first time since you got back from the Air Force?
Yeah.
You're going to live out of state?
Yeah. First time staying back. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, the only time I've been out of Minnesota was my 4-year in Colorado.
Mm-hmm. So when you were in the Air Force. So how this happened? I mean, give us the rundown. What happened? How did we get to this point?
Well, as many of the guys that watch podcasts, that know me, or whatever the case may be, they know that Carrie and I are kind of in the second half of life.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be 57 this year. And so for the last about, I'd say 4 to 5 months, we've just really had this sense of urgency to pray about what God has next for us. Mm-hmm. I knew man to man was what he had next for me. But Carrie and I have been doing things separately for so long. I've been in ministry, she's been in the business world. And so this last year, actually, we've just really felt this thing that, whatever it is, we're going to be doing it together. Mm-hmm. And so when Man to Man came up, she was like 100% behind it. She was sold out to it. She said yes, to it. And then when Chick-fil-A came up for her, mm-hmm. I'm like, yes, you need to go there. And when she started at the Chick-fil-A in Blaine managing that store, there was something in me that said it was going to be a setup for her gifts and talents. Mm-hmm. Because just to be truthfully honest, I feel, been overlooked at the establishment, especially that I worked at when it came to the church, and just her leadership capabilities and those kind of things. So anyways, so for the last 4 to 5 months, we've been seriously praying together mm-hmm. about what God's going to have in store for us together. And so, I don't want to get off into too much. Well, maybe I do want to get off into too much of the story so everybody gets what's going on. But basically, Carrie, they haven't had an owner-operator at the Blaine store now for almost 2 years. Actually, October will be 2 years where they've been without an owner-operator. Mm-hmm. So Carrie's been managing it. Right. They've been bringing in different leaders and stuff like this, and every time a new leader comes in, he changes things up. So she's had this rocky road of consistency, of just being faithful and making the changes that are required, but it's been very stressful. And so I basically kicked her out of the house. I'm like, you got to go to Oklahoma. You mm-hmm. got to go home, because that's where she's from. I said, you just need some time away. You need some time away. So finally she said yes. She wasn't going to go. And finally she said yes. And she went down there. And of course, when you work at a Chick-fil-A store, every time you see a Chick-fil-A, you want to stop in and introduce yourself, because it is kind of like a family.
See what it's like.
Yeah, well, it is kind of like a family. Mm-hmm. Everybody, it's a Christian organization. So there was a store in Lawton, and she went there to visit it. And one thing led to another, and she ended up having a conversation with the owner-operator there now. And Carrie, she started an internship program for Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm. Well, somehow, some way, this guy heard about it, and so he ended up talking to her for quite a few hours, and then asked her to come back to the store the following day. And she did, and he offered her a job,
right,
like on the spot. And he goes, "Listen, I want to be the hub for your internship program, mm-hmm. and I know that you have a coaching program also. I'd like to help with that." And he goes, "I'd love you to come in and just train up leaders." Mm-hmm. And so he offered a good deal. I mean, it was great. It had, benefits, mm-hmm. and this was a good package.
Right.
And so Carrie came home, and she, obviously she told me about it, but she came home, and we prayed, and we just decided that we were going to take it. Mm-hmm. And we were going to move down to Oklahoma. It's right in the area of town where her mom lives. It's mm-hmm. somewhat close to there. It's the next town over. And so, we said yes to it, right. Which means that I got to sell my house, which means that, and she's already down there.
Yep.
She's been down there for now 3 weeks. She's moved down there, staying with her mom. There's a house available for us down there too that her mom has. It's a small little house, but she said we could stay there. So anyways, so
Carrie went down there. I mean, Carrie's had this vision for this program. This isn't like new.
No.
She's had this vision. I mean, she's had this vision for a leadership type of mentoring thing in other areas of life, for long back.
Right. CEOs or owners of companies and businesses. She had a thing called perception coaching that she developed. Yeah, mm-hmm. But she had to shut it all down at COVID. So So she's been working on it for over almost 10 years mm-hmm. now. So
So she went down there, or she's put some of that into practice here.
Yeah.
But went down there with this vision of what she wanted it to look like, and apparently, he liked that idea. This owner of the store down there liked the idea, liked what he was hearing.
Yeah.
wanted to support it.
Right.
So, kind of give her a shot, right?
Yep.
And see what happens. And so you have to move.
Yes.
So that's step one, right? Is okay, we made this decision, feel like God's in it, right? And now we have to move, right? And it's a process, right? I mean, I know you've been distracted a little bit.
It's been a crazy process. The great thing is we've had 3 different prophetic words given to us by 3 different people with all the same verbiage.
Okay.
It's been crazy.
Yeah.
If I were to read them to you, just about how God has a new season for us that we've been plowing for a long time. It's time to reap a harvest. Unbelievably, like, right on craziness, where we both read and we both cried, just because, like, oh, like, okay, God, you're really in this. And that was one of Carrie and I's prayer, is that we hear him clearly. Right. We didn't want to go there guessing. Sure. Right. Sure. And so what I really believe is like I said, when Carrie first started there, the word I got was, this is a setup. It was a setup. Well, this is the setup starting to take place.
Sure.
Right. Which is so cool to see. And for me, you know me, I never wanted to leave Minnesota.
Right.
And for some odd reason, I have this great sense of, Oklahoma, she called me and said it was 110 degrees on the way to work. That's not something I'd ever even wanted to think about doing.
Yeah.
But for some odd reason, I just have this,
That's cool.
And this last winter helped. It was such a long winter. I even got freaked out by it.
A terrible summer too. So
but for me, what does that mean? The trippy thing about Lawton is, I guess it's a military town, and there's just a lot of divorce. There's a lot of men struggling, and so I'm going to bring Man to Man there. Wild at Heart there. One of the first things I'm going to do when I get down there is to, I got 2 friends. Roger, the guy that we were talking about, actually lives in Oklahoma, but he just started speaking to some churches or some place, look for men's events or whatever, and just start getting, my name out, starting to develop relationships. So Man to Man is just expanding.
Sure.
I have men like you here, which I'm 100% confident in to continue to lead the charge here. So it's not, my whole board is fantastic. And so running it here at the same speed, the same pace, doing the events. I'm going to try to come back for each event, because I'm not dislocating from here. I'm just expanding.
Sure.
And so, so I'm excited to see what happens down there with Wild at Heart, Heart of the Warrior Ministries with Dr. B. He's been on a couple podcasts of ours. I'm just expanding that to there, hopefully can do a weekend event down there for him, or at least maybe even get a Compass class that he can do virtually.
Yeah. Have him broadcast
it. So that's still all going. It's gonna be interesting. But I'm selling my house, so I've been working like a dog trying to get this house ready. So if anybody knows, anybody that wants to buy a house in Stillwater, it's a great house. It's phenomenal. It'll be on the market here shortly. But we're excited and scared, and I've called you crying, I've called you happy. This is the most emotions I've been through in a very long time. We're leaving in my home.
I'm excited and scared. It's at the same time. It's been a couple of years that we've been doing this thing together and kind of working. You mentoring me, and and then it was you mentoring me, and then us working together on Man to Man while still being mentored, but kind of coming alongside a little bit more too. And it's been great. There's been so much. On the boat yesterday with Sean, like I just, every time I'm with him, I'm like, I feel like, I don't know, he's not that much younger than I am,
right?
But I'm always like, I'm so proud of him. I want to I'm so proud of you, buddy. Because he's just a different person than he was when I first met him, like 2 years ago. Right. He's a whole different person as a result of the mentorship and embracing this walk and really embracing this lifestyle that we're living,
right,
and modeling, and other guys are doing it. And and Lucas, we hang out with on Tuesdays and stuff, and it's watching these guys. I could just keep rattling off names, but it's just cool. It's cool to see what has happened over a short period of time. I mean, if you think about it, it's only been a couple of years.
Yeah.
And
since Man to Man, or since Man to Man started, it's only been it's been just a little over a year.
Yeah. It's been a little over a year since Man to Man officially started. Yeah. It's been a couple of years since we started walking this path. It's probably been 4 or 5 years that you've been doing, like, mentoring some of these guys. Maybe the longest one might be 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not super long, and there's a lot that's happened.
There's a lot that's happened. That's what I think is kind of cool about it. When we're, no, we're not broadcasting every life change on Facebook, and we're not, you know what I mean? And I don't think there's a need to. But when you talk to any individual that went through the Year with Men with us, that have been to these events, I mean, one of the best way you can ever hear about what's going on with Man to Man, or even Wild at Heart, the best thing you do is by getting involved in it.
Right.
I mean,
and watch the change.
Watch the change that happened, and be the change.
Right.
We talked about beingness and doingness, at the Compass class, and one of the best, that's what I love about John. They're like, we're just handing the stuff out, the materials out. You know what I mean? And people are, and Heart of the Warrior Ministries is going to start in that same thing. I'm excited for Dr. B, because he's got so much material that needs to be able to get out there.
Right.
But realistically, it's what we're doing here. It's being a part of the movement that God is doing with men, by getting yourself involved and being a part of the change. And, like you say, we can go after name. In fact, that guy, Mark, that I'm discipling right now, he just said it again. He goes, man, I just want to let you know that Year with Men, the 5 guys, we've been meeting together for 2 years, and we've never known each other like we know each other in the last 3 months from that Year with Men.
It's intentional. It's pointed, but at the same time, it gives room for guys to be real.
Yes.
And that, I think, is what is the difference. Because I always think, like, man, what's the difference, right? I mean, I've been through, and I'd imagine there's people that know me that are like, what's the difference between this and other things in your life where I've watched you do it, and then, a year down the road, it's now you're on to the next thing, right? And I'm sure there's people that probably watch this and say that because they're not wrong.
Right.
The difference is, like, it's real. It's
real.
Not anything that is, I'm going to act this way. Just it's you're taking real life and you're figuring out how to do it in a healthy, intentional, God-filled way with guys around you that, frankly, they don't let you screw up because they're there.
Right.
I have so many guys around me that are, constantly texting. So, what's up? Haven't heard from you in a while. And I'm like, crap. I'm fine. I'm fine. I just, I've just been busy, or whatever. But it's, it's having that surrounding. It's having those people around, that community.
It's doing life together. It's men meeting men. It's not a ministry that we had to develop. It's not like every week we're going to get together necessarily. It's not. It's literally doing life together where we're checking in on each other. We're sharing our craft through Marco Polo, through text, through other that, and we're sharing our victories.
Right.
And, a lot of stuff's personal.
Very.
So it isn't something we're going to go, hey, guess what? Sean texted me this on Facebook and his life's changed because he just,
No,
that's not what it's about.
That's why we don't do
that. It's about this, and this is one of the reasons why we do it. And we're seeing it happen more and more and more. And it's so cool to get together with the guys we know and say, oh yeah, I just texted so-and-so from Basic. I haven't heard from him in a while. Just like you said, it's just checking in on one another. And there's enough accountability there to where it's become a tribe. It's become a band of brothers. It's become men that are doing life together in different time frames, different seasons, but yet they may step off of Marco Polo or off a text for 2 months, but all of a sudden, next thing you know, 4 guys have texted him in the last, where are you at? How you doing?
Right.
And they back out saying sorry, not in a bad way, but because they're so used to that community,
right.
And
it's, again, it's real. It's guys who really care about it.
Right.
We're not doing it because we want to check up on you or want to make sure you're okay.
Right.
No, it's because we care about each other. And we really want to see other people succeed.
Yeah.
And that's that's what guys attach to. Yeah. So that doesn't end here in Minnesota is the point, right? Like, it's pretty easy to take that and go somewhere else because what guy doesn't need that in their life? So, guys in Oklahoma, need it the same as guys up here.
Right.
You just have to get attached with those and find a different way. So it's pretty easy to take that and go and replicate it in a different area, right? I heard a pastor say, I was listening to this pastor, and he said something about your gifts that God calls you to use in the kingdom, right? They don't make you who you are. It's not your gift that makes your salvation.
Right.
It's your salvation that allows God to use your gifts.
Yeah.
And so, you're going with a call of God on your life to be a disciple of Jesus,
right.
Not to be a pastor or to be a worship leader. That's a gift that God uses. He may call you to use that, but he calls you to be a disciple of Jesus and to be a follower of Christ. And by doing that, it allows him to use these gifts to glorify him.
Yeah, and to use the gifts, and just to get really vulnerable here, it's very interesting how the enemy has had a blast with this.
Oh, I'm sure.
And for example, I'm sharing this to you, and you already know, but I'm sharing this on the video because I want you to know that every time you take a step of faith, the enemy's going to take a step towards you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've wiped out down the steps at my brother's house head first,
right?
Down the steps. I don't ever trip, smacked up my hip pretty bad and stuff like this. My wife 2 days later trips getting out of a barber's chair, out of where she's getting her hair cut. She trips, hits the ground, right? And then, guys, why am I bringing this up? Because once again, we have an enemy, and he's trying to discourage. And so one of the first things, and like I say, this is very vulnerable. But one of the first things the enemy started to say is that, God needs to replace you because you're not doing the job.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that beat the crap out of me. Well, that for the first 3 weeks after we made this, first 2 weeks after we made a decision, he's like, and those are the agreements that I'm not coming into agreement with. Right. You know what I mean? I'm not coming into agreement with that. But just so you know, the battle's real in this. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we got the prophetic word.
Right.
Right. And
God came back and was like, I got your ear.
I got your back.
What's going on here.
Right. And so what am I doing? I'm doing what me and you talked about. I'm renewing my mind. I'm not coming into agreement with those things. I know that this is God, right? And so, anytime you take a step into what God wants you to do, that will take a steps towards you. And, so these are just things that you can pray about for me. Obviously, I have no what's so interesting is I have no problem leaving Minnesota knowing that the men that I know that are involved in Man to Man are going to be able to sustain it. Mm-hmm. It's fearful going into an area that's unknown.
You got to start. Yeah, you're starting without nobody knows. It's crazier for you than those of us staying here. That's for sure. Those of us staying here have to. We're going to have to do things different and pick up the ball a little bit, frankly, and run with it. But you have to go off on your own.
It's going to be.
You have no backup.
It's a little scary. So the whole Abraham, stepping out into a new land, and those are all things. Paul stepping into new places. Those are. That's an area I've never stepped into before. I've went to places to speak,
right,
and put on a weekend event and stuff like this. But to go, well, I'm going to be living there now. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely. So I'm telling you guys right now. I told Dennis, and I've told all the guys in Man to Man. My gamut of emotions is freaking me out. I'm happy 1 minute, scared the next minute. I'm confident in God 1 minute, and believe in the devil in the next minute. It's just so it's. For those of you that have done this before, hey, call me and give me some advice.
Right. Yeah.
But what I want everybody to know is that we know that this is what we're supposed to do. Otherwise, why would I sell my house? Otherwise, why would I let, not let my wife, but agree with my wife to go down there 2 to 3 months before me?
Right. Just tough, just being
around. Oh, yeah. Not her being around is very, very hard, but that's where I got my daughter Constance, too, who's just been a rock, for a little lady. She's an incredible rock, but yeah. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be scary. But this is what's cool. All the men that I've had in my life that have followed me in Boys to Men and Crucible, and all the guys, especially in the last 4 years, that have become the Band of Brothers. I know that it's going to succeed because I have men like you guys that are supporting me, that have do alongside me, got the same heart. And when you got that, you know, the enemy's going to try to do whatever he can to bring fear and discouragement. But I always come back with, well, you're messing with the wrong guys. Because when I'm down, I know that you're up, and I know that Denny's up, and Rich is up, and Nick's up, and I can go off on a number of guys, knowing that you guys we are like-hearted,
right?
So I'm really not going alone.
No, you're going. Yeah, obviously we're behind you 100%, and do everything we can. Let's be honest. You know, it's scary. I mean, there's some fear there too, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's some. From a lot of us, right? It's like, yeah, we're so happy for you, and inside we're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do when I, you know? And so it is just, you know.
But the great thing is once again, those of you that still want me to mentor or disciple, you know, and you're here in Minnesota, you can still do it via Skype, and
that's a great thing, right? So technology has allowed us to be able to do a lot of this stuff. We'll still be able to do podcasts. Yeah, we're still going to do podcasts. You know, I mean, we're still going to be able to do events.
Yeah.
I mean, the technology is at a place right now where a lot of the stuff that we do is not going to change a whole lot, other than, you know, we won't be able to get together as much like this. But
I mean, I still, like I say, I can still even do. I mean, I can still do marriage coaching, you know, because I do premarital and all that kind of stuff. In fact, I got a wedding I'm doing in September. You know, so I mean, all that stuff can be done. I like it like this, more personal, but at the same time, we can do it that way. And so, like I say, I'll still be available to anybody in Minnesota that wants that type of discipleship or mentoring. And the great thing is my wife agrees also that anytime we host an event here for anything from man to man, that I get to come back and be involved and be a part. And so, you know, it's going to be fun. I'm a guy. The more I talk about it, the more excited I get. I think there's something right about that. You know, to talk about it. The more excited I get to see what God has in store for us. But the cool thing, once again, for all you that are married, the cool thing is it's for us.
Right.
It's for me and my wife. And there's just this unity that we haven't had in a very long time, that God has progressively increased and caused us to become so in tune that I'll be thinking one thing that the Lord's telling me, and I'll call her and say, hey, you know, I just really felt this on my heart. And she's like, I just had this dream. I mean, this has happened multiple times now in the last 3 to 4 months, you know, and it's just so cool to be.
I mean, if you think about that, right, it's hard to, what is the definition of fail, right? People are like, well, what, you know, I can hear people right now, what if it failed? What if it's not, what if it doesn't turn out the way you want it to, right? It's very possible. It's very often in life that things don't turn out the way we want them to, because we have no idea what's happening, right? But if you think about it already, you supported your wife in this in like a little flyer, frankly. I mean, you know, hey, honey, I think I'm going to take this job in Oklahoma. Oh, okay. You know, what? You were down there on vacation.
Right.
How
down there
dare you go on a job interview, right? Like, relax, dang it. But, you know, I mean, so you're supporting her. You're coming together with your wife to do something that, I mean, already success. Yeah. I mean, you can look at that and say, if that's it, if that's the whole purpose of this, then cool. You know, success, great. We did it. You know, I mean, everything else is, who cares? Well, frankly, I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, and the one thing that everybody needs to know is that, you know, this is, you know, maybe you all do this because you have a wife, but I mean, my wife is incredibly talented. She's incredibly talented. She's got wisdom that I don't even know how she gets it. I mean, and you know, for many years, and this is what's going to make me cry. For many years, ministry was the point. You know, I mean, she had to be the pastor's wife type thing. So she has submitted for so long. She has humbled herself for so long. And my prayer over the last 5 years, and I'm not kidding you, for at least the last 5 years, have been, God, I want her to be able to step into her gifts and her talents. And I've been able to operate out of mine for many years. And it's been a prayer of mine, and she's going to be, and she's already doing it right now.
Right.
And to see her smile, and to hear her voice, and to just see her thrive in the things that she's been called to do for a long time, why did it take so long? There's a lot, we go into a lot for that.
Who knows, right?
But,
Who knows?
So that to me is extremely exciting to see the glow on her face, which is a glow on my face, what I've had for many years for doing the things that I know and love to do. And so, so we just really believe that this is going to be the time where we're both in that spot where we're using our gifts and talents to do what ultimately God's calling us to do to close out the second half of our life. So that's what's really exciting to me. I mean, when she calls me on the phone, she's explaining to me, she took her whole team from there out to a movie. They went out to see the Raiders of the Lost Ark, whatever that new one out, or what is it? Indiana Jones movie, That's who she is. She's building relationship, and she was just overjoyed. She was, I'm heading to the theater right now. I'm meeting with my team, and that kind of stuff does a husband's heart good.
Right.
So
awesome, man.
So but either way, once again, it's just going to come more alive. It's just going to expand the ministry even more. And so I'm leaving, but at the same time,
it's again. I mean, it's as a guy and as your friend, and and in this, it's inspiring to me, and I just want to say, it takes courage to do this, and to believe in this, your wife's talents and her abilities, and to back her in this. I mean, there's a courage in that, and there's a lot of guys who would not step into that, right? It's it's not normal, I guess. I shouldn't even say that. It's not something that a lot of guys would be comfortable with, because it is a bit different. And to have the courage to do that, and to be listening and paying attention to your wife's heart, and then chasing that in this way, it's encouraging to me, and I definitely want to commend you for that, and and honor you for that, because we talk about it a lot, right? Like, hey, Beauty to Rescue, encouraging your wife, all this stuff. Like, we talk about it a lot. Right. This is kind of a big, like, stuff. Oh, really? Here, let me give you the ultimate, like, you are going to completely give up everything that you thought was important, in the where you live, and the house, and, and all this stuff. And you are going to support her in in her talents and her gifts, and support her dream. And so it was really like a put your money where your mouth is situation, and you did. And so I want to commend you for that, and I want to honor you for that, because, it's something to see, and it's neat to be a part of, and to hear, and obviously, and to be here. And so, for all the guys, I know that, we just, thanks for leading us in this, and for getting us to where we're at, and, and for the last couple of years of being here, it's been great. I mean, it's really been,
really good.
It's been life-changing to me, and it's been life-changing to my kids, and I know they would thank you for it. So, appreciate it, and see what happens next, man. Maybe we'll have to do a podcast.
Oh yeah, for sure we will.
I'll have to go down there,
so
we can do one.
We'll definitely do some. We're still going to be doing a lot together, just in a different way, shape, and form. And I didn't even talk about the solar oven thing and that kind of stuff. But who knows what God's going to do? But what I do know is it's right. And this is what's even funny about it, since we're both like tearing up now. The fact that Carrie's been wanting to go to Oklahoma for years.
Yeah.
And I've been like, no, I like the Four Seasons. Now I'm like, I'm ready. And Carrie's like, I don't know if I want to leave Minnesota, so it's got to be God.
Right? So, I'll swing by on my way to Austin. So
there you go.
I'll start driving down.
Yeah, there you go. We'll have to stay. All right, buddy.
Sounds good. All right.